Good good afternoon. I'm weather and radar meteorologist James West with this um, live look at some major weather that is moving through the Central Plains. We have, as the headline states on our video right here, that we have like a double whammy of severe storms and flooding threats. The severe storm threat will be today, and into a little bit into tomorrow, and this flooding risk will last through most of the weekend across parts of Texas and the southern plains as well. So as you can see on our, but before we look at the severe weather that we have seen, this has been a very active week across the central plains, and this was a tornado that developed across the across Kansas, in parts of Wallace, Kansas, late yesterday afternoon. These are similar conditions that we will be seeing later today, and here's the actual tornado. So storm chasers are out looking for tornadoes, and we have a lot of risk for tornadoes today, as well as large hail and heavy rains, which we'll get into as we go along with this presentation. The chats are open. The live chat is open, so if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot them our way, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. I'm planning on just being about a 15-20 minute webcast for you guys. So if you do have some questions, please feel sure to come and add some chats to us and some comments, etc. So first thing that we want to talk about right now is the severe threat. This is the map that's drawn off by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. What we do to see is enhanced risk across northeastern Nebraska into southeastern Iowa, into southeastern South Dakota, into western Iowa, running all the way down into Missouri and into southern Texas and into Oklahoma. Now, this is a we'll go get into the weather setup for this particular setup. The biggest risk is definitely in this enhanced risk area where tornadoes are good possibilities, and then also large hail. The downpours are also something that we'll also see and talk about before. Before we get into more of those details, one of the things I want to show you is the surface analysis for across the country. This is the interactive surface analysis available from the U.S. National Weather Service, and this kind of gives you a great idea of what the setup is and why we're expecting these major severe storms and the heavy rainfall across the central U.S. as well. So, so one of the big keys that we are seeing here is that there is a low pressure system that's starting to get a little bit cut off. This is associated also with a very strong upper level low that came off the Rockies. The three key ingredients are there for severe weather. We have this low with a triple point that's going to start moving up into the Nebraska area. That's where a lot of storms tend to develop with this type of setup. We have a large fetch of coming in to the Gulf, from the Gulf of Mexico, from the western Gulf of Mexico, large fetch of tropical and subtropical moist air. We have dew points that are 72, 70, in the low 70s far into Oklahoma. There's very soupy air. What those dew points tell you is that there's a lot of water in the atmosphere, and that's a key ingredient to feed into these storms. And then right behind us, we have this cold front that's coming off the Rockies, and much more cooler, unseasonably cool air behind it, with 50-degree temperatures, 50s and low 60s behind it, with much lower dew points. So we have that clash of the dry cold air with that warm moist air streaming northward, and right where the fronts and the right ahead of those fronts and where the fronts meet is where we expect the severe weather to develop. And that's what we're kind of seeing already play out across the central U.S. This is the most recent satellite image from the weather surface, and you can see there's that low pressure system spinning around. You can see the occlusion, that purple line that we saw on the previous surface analysis, coming around here, and then a warm front sitting out here with a cold front streaming south. A cold front streaming southward. You can see that cold, dry air behind it, and all these little tiny clouds popping up above and in front of it that is a sign of cumulus clouds and thunderstorms starting to develop across those areas as well. And this is a little bit of a closer in scene um, of this weather. Again, we see that low pressure, and we're starting to see a lot of cumulus clouds start to pop up along and ahead of that cold front, which is signs of, again, thunderstorms developing. And you can kind of see where that warm front's starting to develop, and we have a little bit of breaks ahead of it, which is helping destabilize the atmosphere. So again, we're looking at this area right here for where severe storms are going to really start to develop. Looking, and even the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has already started to talk about severe storms developing in those areas. We're seeing they're talking about the thunderstorm development occurring in the next several hours. There may actually have been a watch. No watch has been issued just yet, but again, those are the areas that we are expecting to see those major problems develop. Excuse me, sorry about my voice. And looking a little bit closer at the meteorology that is behind this weather, we can see this is the surface-based CAPE. Now, CAPE is the convective available potential energy. This means this is the instability. This tells you how unstable the atmosphere is, and it's a combination. It tells you once a parcel is lifted beyond the area of where what we call a cap, where the dry air resides, and it's able to rise unimpeded, and that's how we get clouds and we get thunderstorms. We have a large area, a big, huge peak area of 5,000 CAPE, 3,500 in that eastern Kansas, northwestern Nebraska area. Again, this makes this saying that the atmosphere is very unstable and is ready to produce major thunderstorms to develop in those areas. So again, here's more evidence that we're really starting to worry about those thunderstorms developing in those areas this afternoon into this evening. And here's another thing that we also really need to worry about is hail. We've seen historically this week and in the last couple of weeks that these storms have been known to produce a large amounts of hail with them, and that is because of the dynamics that's developing with these systems. And so we are again worried about that. Hail is also going to be a major situation again in that same area of northeastern Kansas and eastern Nebraska, and even into parts of western Missouri and in the Kansas City area. So again, another concern that we have with these areas as well. And then the same thing. This is the bulk shear. This tells us how much thunderstorm twisting there will be in the atmosphere, and it's very strong in those areas. And so, you know, the severe risk today is definitely we're going to see the three major components of severe weather: damaging winds, hail, and the potential for some tornadoes in those areas. And so that this is why it's important. If you live in those areas, you have to have multiple ways of being alerted of the situation through this evening, whether it's a NOAA weather radar, NOAA weather radio, local media, and an app to tell you about what the conditions are developing in that area as well. And then the other thing that we are also worried about is flooding. The flooding risk is actually in more areas than actually the storm risk. With all that large amounts of Gulf moisture streaming northward, and as this low pressure system moves southward, which will go into more of a larger scale pattern in the next couple slides, the concern is of flooding in other areas, especially across parts of Texas and into the lower Mississippi Valley. They've had some flooding and over the last several days in those areas. So those areas are already quite saturated with moisture, and the ground is quite saturated in those areas. And so therefore, we do have those concerns going forward. And the reason why we have those concerns going forward is because of the way the system is set up. What we see with this situation is a pretty dynamic system. This is the upper level jet stream level winds, and so the jet stream has kind of weakened as is normal for this time of year. And so this low pressure system that has, as we go back in time looking at where it came from yesterday, it dug through the southwest, around the Four Corners area and the southern Rockies area, and then it moved into across the southern Rockies, and now it has moved out into the central western high plains of western Kansas, eastern Colorado. And so what that has done, it has brought in to effect, we have areas of coming in from the southwest, so it's bringing in Pacific moisture higher up into from the atmosphere. And then when we look at the surface forecast, which we saw on the surface models, surface observations earlier, is the fact that as this low pressure system starts to move northward, it is continuing to bring more of that Gulf moisture northward. And as that cold front starts to sit down here in Texas, we'll start to see a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of storm complexes develop over the weekend across Texas. And this is where we're really concerned about lots and lots of heavy rains in these areas, from all the way from the Rio Grande Valley near Brownsville all the way into the Dallas area, with lots and lots of heavy rains into those areas. And so these are things that we'll be looking at over the weekend here at Weather and Radar, is that once the storm risk diminishes later this evening and then tonight, we still have this storm system with the potential for a lot of rain to fall across Texas through the weekend and into Mother's Day. This is some of the forecasts. We see a lot of heavy rains developing across Texas into Oklahoma, increasing the flood risk there. This is more satellite images. One of the things that I wanted to share with everybody is that we do offer 4 days of weather forecasts on our weather maps. And so this is the current conditions. You can see that we are starting to show thunderstorms develop across central Nebraska, and this will be the area that we'll see a fair amount of activity going on through later today as we animate this. And then we're starting to see some of that rainfall really start to develop across Texas and into parts of the southern Mississippi Valley. And then as we go into looking at tomorrow on Saturday, we can see as well more of that, just that large pockets of heavy rain and thunderstorms across Texas, and as well as we'll start to see thunderstorms as part of that warm front moving eastward into the mid-Atlantic and also across the Midwest. So it's going to be quite an active Saturday across many parts of the eastern U.S. and the Midwestern and the southern plains. And then on Sunday, Mother's Day, we are again seeing more and more rainfall across Texas, and that's why we are seeing a lot of trouble with the chance for flooding in those areas. I mean, we're talking about rainfall totals that could probably be in the 5 to 6, maybe even higher ranges in those areas. The other big concern that we do have also that we need to talk about is across the Northwest. As we head into the weekend, and it's not rainfall, it is actually extreme temperatures for this time of year. We're talking about areas like Seattle, which normally does not see hot weather like this, reaching into we'll let this animate a little bit, let my computer catch up. We're seeing temperatures that will climb into the upper 70s and close to the low 80s on Saturday. Sunday is going to be even worse. We're going to see a major increase in temperatures across those areas. On Sunday, you can see that a lot of areas turn red on Sunday. We're talking about 82, 85 degrees in Seattle, lots of 90s across the Southwest, 90 degrees possible in Seattle on Sunday, with that last part of that name animation. Portland also in the upper 80s. In these areas, this will be close to record or some record highs on Sunday, and these are areas that aren't used to the heat and definitely not used to the heat this early in the year. They will be 20 to 30 degrees above normal, and then also we are also seeing the fact that so you have to be careful about the heat in those areas, and also there won't be a lot of places to cool off. A lot of the rivers and creeks and lakes are very cold right now. They're filling up with cold water from snow melt, and so therefore There won't be any places to like go cool off in a lake or a stream or anything like that. So that's the other concerns there. I see there are some questions on here, so I'm going to go ahead. Hopefully, I've answered some of them, but I will look through them right now and try to answer some more of them for you as we go. So there's a lot of questions. It looks like there's several questions here about north central Iowa into southern Wisconsin. So as we can look a little bit closer here with those areas, let me go ahead and pull up our weather radar there for later today and tonight. We can see what the weather is going to be in those areas. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull up the storm radar map. It's not showing up on the screen, it's on the right side of the map. You can see what's going on for today. And as we go ahead and start to animate it, we'll start to see that the storms will develop in those areas. And we really start to see the thunderstorms start to develop. Some of them will occur after midnight. You can see that here as we progress further into this evening. We see the thunderstorm chances in those areas, and so therefore be cognizant of those of storms happening at night. So therefore make sure you have the alerts available for you, and be weather aware in those areas. So hopefully that answers some of the questions there in the chat there. I'm just going to look through to see if there's any other All right, well, if there aren't any additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the stream. Weather and Radar Meteorologist will be working this weekend to provide updates periodically about the weather situation, especially with the flooding situation in Texas. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. I wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day coming up on Sunday. I hope you have a peaceful and restful day on that day, and have a great one. Oh, we have one other question. Somebody's asking about Louisville, so I will stay on and answer that question real quick. So Louisville is right here. So what we're going to start to see is conditions there. I'm going to just go ahead and pull up the forecast map. I'm going to try to do this on the fly real quick. So what we're going to see with Louisville is later this evening, chances for showers and thunderstorms. They're out of the prime area for the major severe thunderstorm threats, but they will see some showers and thunderstorms later this evening into tonight. And we also expect that as we go further along into the weekend, it's going to be the pattern is going to be definitely turning more into a unsettled, with a higher chance of rainfall throughout the weekend, as we start to see the low pressure move off here. This is more acting like a warm front, and it's getting that feed of the Gulf of Mexico moisture spreading northward, and so therefore you're going to see periods of heavy showers and maybe even thunderstorms throughout those periods. So expect kind of like I wouldn't say a complete washout all weekend, but definitely a somewhat soggy Saturday. On Sunday, we will see a little bit of drying out as the system kind of weakens out and kind of weakens and kind of diminishes in strength in that area, but there will still be clouds around and a few showers here and there. So definitely it's going to be one of those weekends where you probably need to take your umbrella with you. And as always, you can always use our weather and radar. This is available on our app and on our website to look at the next 3 days of weather developing on this. So like tomorrow, you can see here at noon, it's expecting to have some clouds and thunderstorms, but some clearing occurring later in the day with highs in the low 80s. And then again, more chances of showers later in the evening and throughout the night. And then on Sunday, we will see for Louisville, let's just wait for the system to catch up. We will see showers developing on Saturday. Again, Sunday, with a few more showers in the afternoon, and then some clearings as well. So it's one of those, you're going to have to, again, take a jacket, take an umbrella if you're heading outside. Try to do outdoor activities between the storms and everything, and of course you can track them using our weather and radar. Yes, our RG. Yes, you expect some pockets of unsettled rain, some pockets of showers, and maybe even a couple rumbles of thunder. It is just one of those weekends where 1 minute's going to be sunny, and next minute's going to be cloudy. Next hour, you get a few showers here and there. So, yeah, this is becoming this is the pattern that we're in right now in this area, and so definitely, keep an eye out check the hourly forecast as you make your plans. Look outside and go and plan that way. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and log off now. Thank you very much for your time. Like I said, hope everybody has a great weekend, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. Take care.